If you're struggling with a problem before you, hopefully this word can offer you some encouragement today. So what if the thing standing in front of you isn't the biggest problem? What if the real question is whether you've discovered what's already inside you? Because every generation faces a Goliath, a giant challenge, a giant fear, or a giant obstacle. For some, it's failure, and for others, it's rejection. For others, it's anxiety, disappointment, financial pressure, addiction, or a dream that seems impossible to reach. The giant stands before you, towering over your confidence, mocking your future, and convincing you that you're too small to win. But here's the truth. Goliath may be before you, but David is inside you. And that changes everything. The giant isn't new. When David walked into that battlefield, everyone else saw the same thing. A giant, a warrior, a champion, a problem too big to solve, terrifying. For 40 days, Goliath had challenged the armies of Israel. For 40 days, trained soldiers froze. For 40 days, fear controlled the battlefield. The giant wasn't winning because he was stronger. The giant was winning because everyone had already surrendered in their minds. That's how giants work. They don't just attack your circumstances, they attack your confidence. They whisper, "You're not good enough. You're too weak. You're too inexperienced. You'll never overcome this. Someone else can do it better than me." And if you're not careful, you'll lose the battle long before it begins. David wasn't the strongest man there. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the most experienced. He wasn't the obvious choice. He was a boy amongst men. In fact, if people were voting on who should face Goliath, David wouldn't even make the shortlist. Yet David saw something the others missed. Everyone else had measured the giant. David was measuring God. Everyone else was focused on the obstacle. David was focused on the opportunity. Everyone else saw what stood against them. David saw who stood with him. That's the difference. Your perspective determines your power. Many people spend their lives obsessed with what they don't have. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough talent. They don't have enough support. And they don't have enough experience. And because they focus on what they lack, they never use what they possess. David didn't have a sword. He didn't have armor. He didn't have a military training background, but he had courage and he had faith in God. He had experience defeating lions and bears when nobody was watching. He had a history of overcoming private battles before facing public ones. And that was enough. You don't need everything. You need to use what you've already been given, the thing that sits beside you and within you. One reason people underestimate David is because they only saw the battlefield. They didn't see the years before it. They didn't see the lonely fields. They didn't see his discipline. And they didn't see the preparation. Success often looks sudden from the outside, but victory is usually built in private. The giant you're facing today may actually be revealing what you've been preparing for all along. Those difficult seasons, those many setbacks, those disappointments, those moments when nobody believed in you, those moments weren't wasted. They were training. The lion prepared David, the bear prepared David. The giant simply revealed what was already inside him. So fear has a way of magnifying your problems. A challenge becomes impossible. A setback becomes permanent. A mistake becomes your identity. Fear turns shadows into monsters. But courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward despite it. David wasn't pretending the giant wasn't dangerous. He would simply refuse to let fear make the decision for him. And that's where many victories begin. Not when fear disappears, but when faith becomes louder than fear. When David chose 5 smooth stones, people probably thought he was crazy. A giant covered in armour and a shepherd carrying stones. It looked ridiculous. Can you imagine that scene? Yet history is full of moments where unconventional courage defeated overwhelming strength. because battles are not always won by size, they're won by strategy. They're won by conviction, and they're won by perseverance. Sometimes the thing that seems insignificant becomes the very thing that changes everything. A small act of courage, a small step forward, a small decision to keep going, a small moment of faith. Those are often the stones that bring giants down. Many people make a dangerous mistake. They assume their current obstacle is their final destination. They think, this problem defines me. This season will never end. Things will always be this way. But Goliath was not David's future. He was merely a chapter, a challenge, a moment. A giant felt permanent, but he wasn't. And the giant you're facing today isn't permanent either. Your circumstances may be difficult, your situation may be painful, but don't mistake a season for a lifetime. One of the greatest tragedies in living beneath your potential, because you've believed the wrong story about yourself. You've believed you're too weak, you're too ordinary, you're too broken, too far behind, you don't stack up to others. But David teaches us something powerful. Potential is not determined by appearance. Purpose is not determined by public opinion. Destiny is not determined by your critics. There was a king inside a shepherd. There was a giant slayer inside a boy. And there was far more inside you than you've dared to believe. David understood something that transformed his confidence. The battle wasn't ultimately his. It belonged to God. That truth freed him from the pressure of proving himself. He didn't have to be the strongest. He didn't have to be perfect. He didn't have to be faithful. Sorry, he simply had to be faithful. Many people are exhausted because they're carrying battles they were never meant to carry alone. They're trying to control everything. They try to fix everything in one go, and they try to predict everything. But some victories come when you stop relying solely on your own strength and start trusting a strength greater than yourself. So today, just have another look at that giant that stands before you. That fear, that obstacle, that challenge, that impossible situation. Yes, it's standing before you. Yes, it's intimidating. Yes, it's real. But it's not the whole story. Because while Goliath may be before you, David is inside you. The courage is inside you. The reliance is inside you. The faith is inside you. The strength you've developed through every battle you've survived is inside you. You're not standing on that battlefield empty-handed. You're carrying experiences, lessons, wisdom, and strength that were forged through every challenge you've overcome. The giant may be loud, it doesn't get the final word. So step forward, take your shot, trust what's been placed within you. And remember, the size of the giant in front of you will never be greater than the power, the purpose inside you. Goliath is before you, but David is inside you, and that changes everything. Woo. If this message encouraged you, remember this throughout your week. Don't focus on the giant that's standing in your way. Focus on the strength that has been growing within you through all of your experiences through life. Because giants come and go, but courage, faith, and perseverance create victories that last a lifetime. I hope this message encouraged you. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.